Hey, everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the REtipster podcast. I'm Seth Williams, and this is episode 236. Today, Ajay Sharma and I are sitting down with a good friend and a familiar voice. If you've been with us for a while, we're talking about Callan Faulkner. So the last time we had her on the show was way back in episode 132. And back then, Callan was running a company called REI Optimize, where she taught real estate investors how to scale their businesses with things like text marketing and ringless voicemails and other powerful outreach channels. And since then, she's kind of reinvented herself in a big way. Today, Callan is widely known as an AI expert, and she's built a new brand called The Uncommon Business. And her mission is all about helping people reclaim their time and lives using tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Gemini, and more. And she's been on the front lines showing business owners and real estate investors how to integrate AI into what they do every day. And the results have been amazing. It's been really cool to watch what she's doing and how much she has grown over the past year. And in this conversation, we're going to dig into some of the most practical, actionable ways you can start using AI right now, not just in your real estate business, but also in your day-to-day life. We're also going to talk about her new group course coming up later this fall. And I'm going to share a special way that the REtipster community can plug in with me if you decide to join. Callan, welcome back to the show. How's it going?
Thanks for having me, guys. I feel like the band is back together. It's been a minute.
Yeah, maybe we do just a quick catch up since the last time we talked, which was actually back in 2022. That's like ancient conversation now. So much has happened since then. Tell me about this transition into the AI world. Like, what drew you into this and what made you rebrand and do all that?
July 2023, I was sitting at my kitchen table. I was developing a SOP for my land business at the time of everything that needed to happen when we were doing due diligence on leads in Florida. So I was doing the whole thing. I was documenting it all step by step. I absolutely hate documenting SOPs. It is the bane of my existence. I hate dotting I's, crossing T's, all the little details. I was simultaneously going through a divorce at the time. So the chaos, the overwhelm, emotionally, physically, everything was through the window. I got this email from a guy named David, and he kept pinging me. He's like, watch this ChatGPT webinar. I'm like, whatever. Fine. Let me look at the webinar. Go to the thing. The first demo he does is he uses a Loom video. He describes himself going over a process, which just so happened to be some sort of sales process. He took the transcript from the video, brought it into chat, and said, you're a world-class technical documentation writer. You write perfectly formatted SOPs. You guys have probably seen ChatGPT do this. My whole life was changed in that moment when it spat out the perfect SOP and it was formatted. He made a few tweaks, but it was done. For anyone that has known me over these years, I love shortcuts. It's why I was obsessed with other ways besides mail of generating leads in the land investing space. I don't like things that take a lot of time. I like to find shorter ways. I like to find hacks. I like to find efficiencies. And this has led me down the path of learning how to build AI systems, teaching people how to become AI fluent, learning how to replace workflows with AI tools, learning how to empower humans to become AI fluent so that AI is not affecting their job, but it's actually activating them to an entirely new potential. And that has led me to pause on my land investing business, go all in on AI. We've scaled this new brand, The Uncommon Business, from 0 to 4 million in revenue in 18 months. We now have 5 full-time employees, all AI trained, and obsessed is an understatement. It's been such an amazing journey. So I'm excited to dive in today. It's going to be great.
Yeah, for sure. I've seen a couple different presentations you have done since you got into this, and it's always mind-blowing just to hear about the use cases and different examples you share. But I'm wondering, for somebody who still has not gotten on the AI bandwagon, I was at a land conference this past month, and they're still out there where they're just like, I keep hearing about this ChatGPT thing. I feel like I got to start learning it. And I'm just like, yeah, you do. But, or maybe they've like played around a little bit with ChatGPT and think they know it all now. But what do you think they're missing out on? Like, what is the thing that they should be paying attention to first to get up to speed?
Okay, so let's start with the person that has not seen ChatGPT, which is wild to me. Like, even when I'm going in rooms now and I ask, I'm like, does anyone not know what ChatGPT is? It's becoming almost nobody has not used it. So I think there's probably people that are using it here and there. They're using it as a writing tool. They're using it as the absolute lowest level task doer. Like, rewrite this email. Like, okay, that's amazing. That is like using the internet and just going to one website and not doing anything else inside your business. So great. We're developing a habit of going in there. I love it. But the first skill set that needs to be looked at is, I won't even say skill set, habit, is AI as a thinking partner. So what's happening is, because we have access to these incredible tools, these tools, ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Grok, you might hear me say a couple of these different large language models, they're all the same thing. They're all this place where we can go. It mimics a human brain and it has access to every piece of information that has been put on the internet at our fingertips. Because we now have that, we don't just use this to write things. We can use these tools to think through any problem that we are navigating, whether it's a legal issue, a employee issue, a deal issue, an issue with your romantic partner, an issue with having a conflict. For me, I'm a people pleaser. I use it all the time. Like, am I falling back into these tendencies? Walk me through this. Money mindset issues. I talked about this a little bit at the keynote in June of, I think a lot of times for a land investor, there's money mindset problems of, I need to raise $500,000. Well, if we've never seen $500,000 in our checking account, that can be a massive rewire that needs to happen in our brain. I use it all the time as a money mindset coach. It helped me move up to these levels. I would have never been able to bring in $4 million in revenue in this fast had I not been using this to elevate my thinking and elevate my consciousness. So I'm getting a little out the weeds here, but every single time there is a problem, we now have access to this incredible source of knowledge. Now, you can't just say whatever you want. Say, help me through this legal problem in Florida. You could get back results from Wikipedia. That's where those results could come from. So what information are you putting into it? Where are you having it go? Then the next thing is moving from this one-off prompting, this one-off, hey, give me this information back. That's like, great. You gave it some instructions. You got some information back one time. But imagine building an AI system that every single time we have a title issue in Hernando County, Florida, you have an AI pre-trained on title issues. Probably broad because it's like now you have to deal with the law and the whole thing, but you probably could get pretty close of at least getting 80% there of navigating a particular issue. But the thing is, you or someone around you has to be an expert in it so that we can train AI on it. AI isn't naturally an expert in due diligence in Florida. You have to train AI on how to be an expert on due diligence in Hernando County. And then once you train it, it just went from a really cute tool that we use regularly to legitimately a digital employee. Then we can put automation on top of that. And then we can fire those digital employees to act at certain times inside of your business. And we can talk more about that today. The train has already left the station, by the way. If we were doing this podcast a year ago, I would be saying things like, guys, this is coming. Make sure you're paying attention. There's no more of that. This is already happening. People are already doing this internally. I'm currently doing this internally. And I believe that this is no more of like, pay attention just in case. There is no more just in case. People are actively building these things internally. And it's going to be a blink of an eye that real estate investors in general are going to have to start taking action against this to stay in.
I know there's so many different directions we could go with this in terms of like use cases or like different systems you can set up and that kind of thing. But if we just think about like everyday uses for ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Perplexity, these kind of things, if I'm a land investor, can you think of like maybe 3 things that I could start doing with AI this week that could save me real time or money? Anything come to mind?
So let's do, Ashe's like, yeah.
I'm like opening up my chat history right now of things that I do.
Let's go, you, Ash. Your team's in the weeds. You guys have been through my program. Throw out some ways. It could be just one-off prompt like, hey, I just need your help on this chat to like, actually, I know you've trained AI on some of your guys' frameworks? What are some of the ways it's moved the needle?
I want to share a fun personal one, and then Seth, I'll answer. I was at a bachelor party in Nashville, Tennessee this past weekend for a wedding I'm going to be the best man in. And half of the group arrived early Friday. The other half was later. I was part of the early group. We were sitting around, hey, what do we do for fun? This group of friends from high school was very like show tunes, choir, theater type friend group. And so a lot of times when we all get together, we play charades. And I was like, well, did anybody bring charades? And nobody did, which was a surprise because there's usually at least one person in this group that does bring charades. And I was like, no worries, I'll just make charades. And they were like, huh? And I literally got out chat and I prompted it. You've played charades 1,000 times. You were like the world's best person at charades. Here are the 3 different categories I want. Go ahead and give us a couple of different options based on X, Y, Z. Please ask any clarifying questions, right? Spits it out. And now as we pass the phone around, it's just like, okay, 4 more, boom. And then eventually it like gave us a button that we could press that just kept spitting out more options. And so I literally got to use chat to play charades with my friends at this bachelor party this weekend, which is just like
awesome,
insane to me. And I looked around, I was like, are you guys not using ChatGPT in everyday life? And they're like, like kind of, how much does this paid one cost? And I'm like, oh my God. So very much with you there, Callan. I think on a business side, I'll give you the most practical one that I probably go to 6 to 8 times a week is I've got one with over a year's worth of history now as a business coach focused on scaling transactional real estate businesses. So it's a business coach that has done a combination of land flipping, wholesaling, curative title flipping, just anything under the sun, right? And I've prompted it really well and over time said, hey, here are the problems I'm facing. Here's what I want to feed you. Here's an example. I want to scale this business to hit X amount in revenue. I've got 120 to 180 day cash conversion issue. Here's the comp structure of my team. Here's my current operating expense account. Here's what a cost to acquire a customer cost me. I don't want to scale unsustainably. Help me pinpoint like my path to growth. What do you recommend? Please ask any clarifying questions. And it'll ask me questions like, okay, well, how fast do you want to grow? Are you open to commission draws versus commission only? What's your training process look like as you need to get people back in? So that's like a very high level, just like overall business coach scale growth type prompt that I've used.
I know you have one that's like maybe it generated a specific agreement, or did it generate like a specific document?
Yeah, we've had it generate legal documents before, like affidavits of understanding. We have a custom GPT that creates an affidavit of heirship for us, which is like a document that helps you circumvent probate in some states.
Does it interview your team first and then they answer all the questions and it generates a document for them?
Yes, exactly. And we've put templates in the knowledge base so that it knows what they're supposed to look like. And then I think the last one I would say is before high stakes conversations. I always say like, you are Chris Voss, and I'll run it through something like that so that if I've got a big negotiation coming up, it's like, hey, here's my desired outcome. How would you help me walk through this?
I would never, ever have my team get on a high stakes conversation, whether that's with a vendor, a client, a potential employee, without running it through AI first. I never do. I have one land deal I'm still babysitting. And if I don't have the transcript from the call, the human brain only remembers after 1 week 10% of what it hears. So we're walking around all day having these conversations with engineers and surveyors and planning and zoning and the attorney. You think your brain's going to remember every detail of that phone call? I think it is absolutely crazy. And if you do expect to remember more things, that means you're holding too much in your head. So the transcripts from those phone calls are absolute gold. We should be having a transcript with every single seller call, every single acquisitions call. The moment that phone hangs up, that transcript should run through AI and it should be reviewed. And you should be working with Ajay if you're not, to understand what you should even be reviewing. There should be a score that's added into a Google Sheet, and we should be seeing what they did well, what they did wrong, what they could be working on, and what their score was. And we should be reviewing those scores every single week, and we should be watching the average of each rep score improve over time. This is not pie in the sky. This is 6 hours of really tight work that we can get a real-time 24/7 sales call reviewer embedded into your business tomorrow if you knew how to build these things. What I try to tell people, my clients don't need to hire an AI prompt engineer. Like, you can learn how to write a really amazing prompt. You can learn how to build an AI sales call reviewer. With Zapier, open phone trigger, pop that baby into ChatGPT and add your results back in follow-up boss. This is not complicated. This is the stuff you're already doing. It's just putting the AI beat on top of it.
Since we're on this subject, I'll just plug two things. So one is actually still in beta testing right now, but the Stride Call Analyzer, it's going to be so that you can upload an audio file or a transcript of any conversation, and it'll grade it based on how well it went in terms of like on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at? Which things did you not do right? Was there enough empathy? If you said the wrong thing, it'll actually tell you, hey, you know, when you said this here, you probably should have said this instead. Just like really clear feedback on how you should have or could have handled the call. Also, the Stride Voice AI agent, which is built right into Stride. It's like an amazing, amazing thing. In fact, you can actually call it right now if you want to and test it out. But I've got a separate blog post in a video where I sort of demoed how it works and talk about saving tons of time and just mental anxiety of talking with people all day long. Just screens a lot of those calls and filters the information to the right place. It's pretty sweet.
It's incredible. And I think there might be someone on this call. What just went through your head is something like, well, it still sounds like a robot. Okay, let me tell you something. Every 12 months, AI becomes 16 times smarter. That is how it's been the last 10 years. On average, 2 years from today, September of 2027, AI will be 256 times smarter than it is right now. 5 years from now, it will be 1 million times smarter than it is right now. 5 years from now, 1 million times smarter than it is right now. That's why I'm telling you, if you do not have an AI caller, at least the inbound answering, at least. If you have people going to voicemail, that is negligent, in my opinion. There should be no voicemail for a business in the United States, or in fact, anywhere. There should be no lead that ever goes to a voicemail. It should be answered by at least an AI. Even if they just have it for inbound answering and saying, hey, grab a little information, route it to the right person, get them a quick text, hey, we'll be back to you as soon as we can, or whatever the flow is. But yeah, I get really fired up about this because those old patterns of thoughts come through our head like, oh, it sounds like a robot. What's better for the lead? You reached out to them. They're trying to figure out what's going on. Who is this? And now you're just shooting them to your voicemail and saying, I'll get back to you when I can. I think it's irresponsible. A few other things I want to mention to get people excited. AI has the ability to have real-time integration with pretty much any major system. So let's just throw out there, Ajay, where do you keep your SOPs? Do you have them in Notion? Do you have them in Google Drive?
Google Drive, yeah.
Okay. So let's say you have a Google Drive folder for all of your SOPs related to acquiring properties. Let's just say, hypothetically. There is something out there called MCP. It's called the Model Context Protocol. Don't worry about it. It is not technical. You just turn it on inside of Chat, inside of Claude, and you can connect to a Google Drive folder or connect to a Notion database or an Airtable. And what happens is this MCP server connects into your Google Drive, and the Google Drive is the knowledge base. You can give your team access to ask any question they want. It will scrape through the entire Google Drive folder to find the answer to that question. So this process of documenting, this is how we do things, this is what you do here, this is what you do here, has never been as important as it is now, because the data out is only as good as the data in. But if you had all of your transcripts about this big deal that you're working on in a Google Drive folder, AI could auto-summarize the decisions. It could create all the action items. There could be all the accountability, who's doing what. That could push back up into a project management system. No one's ever asking, what did we decide on last week? Everything is completely organized into one place. I actually think over the next 2 years, I don't believe there will be a leader in any organization that doesn't have the ability to think in AI systems. Because the most dangerous job, I think, of a founder or a CEO right now is deciding what should a human be responsible for, or what should a human do, and what should AI do. And right now, if I'm pleading to a land investor, they're thinking to themselves, gosh, everything feels a little messy. We need more SOPs. I'm going to hire more people to build more SOPs. That is the wrong decision right now. A lot of land investors are hiring too many humans, and they have not enough AI systems. And we need to elevate our humans, activate them to higher potential. We don't need them taking notes on a call. We don't need them following up and writing a follow-up email to the surveyor from scratch. That is a complete waste of that human being's time. And that is where the founder has a responsibility, I believe, to understand the potential of AI so that they are not overhiring inside their business.
Maybe you've heard this as well, Callan, but I know some people get critical on professionals who are studying to be like a doctor or an attorney or something like that, saying, yeah, these guys are going to get through school using AI. They don't really know what they're talking about. But I've heard other arguments that within a few years, maybe even right now, it should be considered malpractice for a doctor to not use AI. I mean, think about how much they're not informed on when the AI can see it from all these different angles that they can't. I feel like the world is going to be going in that direction. There's just so much we can see and do with AI that we can't do without it.
100%. I think the human's job, at least for the next 3 years, for sure, will be overseeing the AI results, because AI will lie to you every single day. And people see that and they say, oh, AI's lying. I don't want to use it. I don't want to use it. Have you ever gotten a bad Google result? You click on it, you go to the page, that's not what I'm looking for. Click on it, go to the page, that's not what I'm looking for. That's not what I'm looking for is the same skill that we need to do with AI. A doctor that is not using AI, think about how many studies, case reports, data streams exist for a physician to have access to try and diagnose a situation. Millions. Do you think they remember all of those in a moment of looking at an emergency situation and they're seeing different things and they're trying to process? The human brain is tiny. We don't understand anything. I think we do. But I think, number one, AI will absolutely surface a study that doesn't make sense for that moment. And that's the physician's intuitive responsibility to direct the AI to the right place. But I completely agree with you. I think if a doctor is choosing not to use AI, they are willfully ignoring information that could save lives in that moment.
Just on a personal note, do you know of anything that can effectively manage my inbox? Like understand how I write, what kinds of people I do and don't respond to, how I respond, drafting drafts for me so I can send them. I feel like I've heard of random ways to do this. And the way that I hear of most often is using like a N8N automation with all these little components. It just feels like too much. Is there some service out there that can like do this for me? And what is that?
I love this question, Seth. Every day we get served another Instagram ad that says, hire my AI agent that can manage your email. Okay. So we just recently finished this project for a very well-known thought leader that we all know. He has millions and millions of followers and his name rhymes with Stan. You probably know who he is.
I do.
So he came to us and said this exact thing. He gets hundreds of emails every day. People that want to be on his podcast, people that are trying to work with him. They want to work for him. They have all these different things. So we actually didn't build a traditional agent. This is actually a series of Zapier Zaps. So the first step is we have to filter on what kind of email this is. So to know that, Seth, you would have to know what happens with each kind of email. The process that we're going through is the exact same process that you would go through if you were hiring somebody to manage your entire inbox. So, hey, if you get this kind of email, you send this. You get this kind of email, you send this. The thing, though, is that this AI automation doesn't have the human discernment layer. They are doing what they are told. So, yes, 100% you can build this. But the amount of documentation that we had to go through, we have now 20 different email types that he gets into his inbox. And there is an exact step-by-step instructions, exact formatting, exact tone, hundreds of his past emails that we've aggregated together to build this whole solution out. So the first thing that happens is, yes, the email comes in, it is filtered. What kind of email is this? What bucket does it land into with one of these 20 subjects? If it's nothing, it goes nothing. It sits unread in the inbox. It gets tagged, and then it passes through the custom GPT-4 anytime there's a podcast request. Then the email is drafted, and the draft is put into his draft inside of Gmail, and his EA just goes through the drafts. Out of the 200 emails he gets a day, there's usually about 75, 80 drafts that are created, and there's another 100 that are random things that can't be classified that are generated from scratch. So the answer is yes, with the caveat of how good is your documentation around what needs to happen when.
Gotcha. So it sounds like it's fairly complex. There's not some software out there where I can just click buy and it's going to get it.
Hell no. No, 2 years from now, maybe there'll probably be a better way of you give it all of your past emails and then it does a full-blown aggregation and optimization. But even then, I would say training AI is about 3 times longer than training a human being. So if you think about how long it would take to train a human on being really good at responding to your emails the exact way that you would, I don't know, 10 hours. So yeah, it's probably going to be 30 hours of like QA, QC testing. I wouldn't say it exactly like that. We even get that when humans are doing it. Sorry, long-winded answer, but I do think it's important that people understand you have to know how to test it, do quality control, quality assurance, and it will get easier over time for sure.
On that note, just kind of hearing that truth bomb about, what it takes to actually effectively train this thing makes me wonder, what is AI not good for? Or what do people think it can do versus what it can do? Like, do people have like misconceptions or misunderstandings about AI's place in their life?
I think so. What happens is when I say a thing, 3 months later, they'll come out with a big update and it's really good at it.
I won't hold you to this at all. So
we need to do like a quarterly State of the Union. So as of September 2025, where we are right now, it's really not great at math. So you have to be very careful when you're doing any sort of calculations. I know a lot of land investors come in my courses and they're like, I want it to build the whole pro forma start to finish. It's just not there. Can it get you 70% there? And I still want you to be reviewing it with your human lens. 100%. We should never be starting from scratch. So I for sure want you guys to be using this. You could train it on how to generate an amazing pro forma. It will ask you a series of questions. It will generate a pro forma just like you've trained it. But I would not ever just go into ChatGPT and say, help me with a pro forma. So the one thing I want you to understand is AI, again, is only as good as the training. I'm not trusting it to go to Wikipedia and look up a pro forma result for me. If you guys are great at writing pro formas, AI is going to be great at it. But a lot of times people will be like, I'm entering a new market and I want to learn how to do due diligence. Go talk to the local brokers, record every single one of those conversations on how they do DD, bring those transcripts out, build a DD guide, then go train your AI on what those skill sets are. Obviously, it can create a draft of a legal document, but the intricacies of law, I'm not going to replace my attorney. I would never do that. Am I 100% sending a draft of the document to my attorney? Yes, I am never having my attorney start something from scratch. I am drafting the first document. I'm using AI. I'm challenging it. I'm saying, hey, if you needed me to answer 5 more questions to give you a better answer here, what would you need? Hey, if you need a copy of any sort of particular part of the law, is there any copy that you would love for me to upload here that would give you a better result? AI is going to try to rush through the process because A, it's been trained to not use very much energy, the least amount of energy as it can. And B, it's trying to make you happy. So that's where I want to caveat people, like AI is not responsible for the end result. You are responsible. So really forcing it to extract answers and you giving it the right information. And then let's talk about agents. So people have heard the term AI agent, AI agent, AI agent. Okay. We'll just say the definition of an AI agent. It is a set of instructions for AI. AI agents can be built inside of tools like N8N. That's like a Zapier on steroids. Zapier actually has AI agent technology now. The agent technically operates autonomously. So the cool part about an agent is, let's just say we have an agent that we're building right now for onboarding to our 10-week AI program. This agent will have access to Slack. It will have access to Go High Level. It will have access to Notion. So if somebody texts the agent and says, hey, I need my login to the Video Hub, it can go into Go High Level, find that contact record, look at their unique login link for the Video Hub and text them back. I did not train it on that workflow. It has access to all of the places and it acts as the most intuitive AI that we have had so far. Historically, if you were wanting that to happen in Zapier, you would have to literally create these paths and document. Like when someone says access or Video Hub, you go here, you look here, you look here. An agent doesn't need that instruction. All it needs is an end goal. Your end goal is to answer client questions. Now, here are the top 10 questions, and here is typically where we would find that, but you don't have to document that out in the actual instructions. You can give it the end goal and it can figure out how to get there. Or you could have an agent that checks on the balance or helps your buyers, anyone that's on a terms payment to buy a property. You could have an agent that just services that buyer. They email in, they say, hey, I need to change my credit card. Awesome. That agent could have access to Stripe. Obviously, you have to have an API or some sort of integration to that platform, but they could give you their new card number over the phone, and they could go in that tool and use the API to update their card automatically. You're not setting those instructions. You're just giving them access to the tools and then building an overall prompt structure. I wanted to explain that because I think we sit here and say, I want every employee in my land business to be an agent. No way. No way. You think someone's going to go do that research of who the brother's sister's cousin is that we need to get a hold of? No, there's no agent that's going to be able to think that intuitively, think with that discerning lens, be resourceful, be creative. That is not what the agent is here to do. The agent is here to do a task, have access to some things, and hit an end goal. So I tell people all the time, if the people that are working for you are not creative, resourceful, willing to bang down any door, that's going to be the new job. Like this whole thing of like these long careers doing the same thing for 10 years kind of is out the window. Like humans now have to have this ability to think critically and make judgments that AI can't make. Definitely, though, I think the humans should be responsible for identifying the 90% of their job where AI could step in and help them. That's going to be the next piece, is making sure your employees know what AI can do. And this should be a part of their KPIs. They should be bonused when they find ways that AI can take parts of their job, because that's ultimately what we actually want. We want them to be highlighting, hey, AI could probably do this. I don't think I need to be doing this anymore.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. I consider myself pretty well versed in this stuff, but like even I encounter times a lot where it's like, wait a minute, why am I still doing this? Why didn't I think about AI doing this like 3 months ago?
Oh God, yeah, every day.
It's really hard to like get out of that mindset of like, it's got to be me doing everything.
AI or not AI, right? Like this is the hardest job of scaling. For me as a founder, I recently over the last 6 months have taken my fingers out of almost every pie in the business. And it has allowed us a whole nother level of scale and growth. And then now I am training all my leaders. Like one of my leaders today, I saw a Slack message go through and she's like, hey, I want to review this before it's done. I'm like, no, you do not need to review that before it's done. That can absolutely go out without your review. If she messes up or makes a mistake, she can learn from that. That holding on to those little things is what holds you down. Like it's what holds you at that low level. So yes, we do an EOS day every quarter where we plan out, all the rocks. What are we hitting this quarter? What are our goals? We are devoting 2-hour block every quarter just to looking at what AI projects we are committing ourselves to. And that's where, when you have these ideas, it needs to go into a parking lot and then it's fully reviewed as a team every quarter. How much time is this task taking us? How many times is it done? Is it done every week? Is it done every month? Is it done every quarter? And how much energy does it take? That's the third piece we often don't think about, is how much do I hate this task? If someone's doing something every day that they hate, that is the first thing we need to start automating. If someone is doing something every quarter that it's fine, it takes an hour, we don't need to automate that. I think I find people are automating the wrong things first, often because it's the sexy thing.
Sure. So, Callan, one of the things you have coming up pretty soon is this Automate to Accelerate course. I know you've done this a number of times already. I've talked to several people who have gone through it. Everybody's blown away. Everybody loves it. I'm wondering if somebody wants to sign up for this thing, are there some examples of like takeaways they're going to get? Like as a land investor, for example, I know it's not just land people that take this course, but like, are there certain flows that you teach or custom GPTs that you teach people how to create, or what are some solid takeaways people could expect to walk away with?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So we have a 10-week AI course. This is our 4th time running it this fall. I now have a full-time curriculum director that is 10 times smarter than me. And this is going to be blowing every other session we've done out of the water just because of the level of depth. We have not only a full-time curriculum director, I have a woman that specializes in world-class training that is also working on this. I'm like, you guys, This is unbelievable. So the whole idea of the training course called Automate to Accelerate, it's a 12-week live training. Everything's live, full community, people supporting each other. Is you go from 0 to, at the end of it, you graduate as an AI architect. So that is the person that can easily spot AI opportunities inside of any business or inside of their life. So whether it's life systems, business systems. So the purpose of the course, we spend the first 3 weeks becoming expert prompt writers, because even if you're going to build an AI agent, you have to be able to build a really, really amazing prompt. It's the foundation of everything. Then we move into building out incredible custom AI projects. So we start the process of training AI on you. Then we move into using Zapier and AI together. So we show real world examples of that automation. I love to show tons of examples and show tons of systems, because that's how we get AI architect brain. If you think about it like an architect that's really great at building custom kitchens, they need to see 100 different kitchens. They need to see the spice drawer in 5 different places. They need to see different flows of the kitchen. Oh, I saw one that had this. Oh my gosh, I saw a kitchen that actually had a butler's pantry with this, this, and this. I saw a really high budget kitchen. I saw a low budget kitchen. That's essentially the idea of the course. Is throughout the course, we're seeing all sorts of different AI workflows, AI systems that are real inside of real businesses. Then we move into marketing. So marketing is when we're doing AI content creation, which is done so horribly by most people because they have no idea how to define their ideal client and train the AI on how to speak like them. We build out, we call that the brand guardian. For land investors, I say we need a brand guardian for acquisitions and we need a brand guardian for sales, because it's 2 totally different avatars that we're speaking to. The next week is sales. We build a sales coach. That's where you can throw a transcript in and get a score. Seth, in your system, could they tweak the call scoring, or is that built in on the back end?
It is built in on the back end, but there's going to be an enterprise version where they can.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay, well, those of you that are advanced, you're going to have your own prompt that does your own scoring, because you went through Ajay's course and you learned how to actually, you scored a call, or the way that you do it, or the way that you like to do it. This is the rep that's also going to be, if your team is like, what do I say to this? Or how do I respond to this email? How do I respond to this text? They should go into this sales coach and it will tell them exactly what to say, how to handle a call, how to handle a situation. Then we move into operations. This is task delegation, SOPs, ops inside the business. What kind of workflow should you build? These are AI projects that we are step-by-step building. I am literally telling you, click here, click here, click here, add this, these instructions, add this as the knowledge base. Then we spend an entire week. We go back to automation. So we go back to building out workflows inside the business using Zapier and AI. We do a little bit of N8N, and then we spend a full week on agents. We build a real-time AI agent, just seeing it being built. Why is it being built? How is it being built? How is it being used? And then I end with leadership and then who, not how, because the architect is the architect. Notice they're an architect, not the builder. There are times when you're going to build some more advanced tools inside your business, and you will need someone that can do a full-blown Zapier flow and set up a control board and this, and that. You don't need to be doing that. Who, not how. So we have a full-blown training guide on how to find these people, how to interview them, how to track them down, how to make them a part of your team.
Yeah. You mentioned a few minutes ago the importance of writing a great prompt, or just prompt engineering. I hear about this all the time. What is a good prompt? Like, is this just about providing as much information as possible? Or is it more about like the way you explain something? Or like, how do you know, okay, I've checked the box. I've given it a great prompt for what I'm asking here.
Oh my gosh. I love this question, Seth. Okay. What is a great prompt? Let me tell you an example of a prompt, a very well-written prompt I had in my land business. So I had a prompt where the goal of the prompt is I would give it the export from DirectSkip and the export from Land Vision. So you have these 2 separate documents. You have one document that has all of your skip trace records. Then I have another document that has all of this other information, whether it came from Data Tree, Land Vision, Land Insights, wherever. It has the zoning code. It has, what does it have?
Subdivision regulations.
Oh yes. What subdivision is it in? When you put something through skip tracing, you often have to cut all that information out of the document. So we have 2 separate documents. We have one with all these different fields, one with your skip tracing data. I built a prompt where all I have to do is give it the 2 spreadsheets, give it my prompt, and it will give me back one merged, deduplicated spreadsheet that is perfect, ready to import into my CRM system. It removes duplicates, but before it removes duplicates, it does a count of how many there are, and it adds a column called properties owned. So now I can see how many properties each one of these people owns. It takes 45 seconds to run that prompt. How do I know that it was a great prompt? The first thing is that often people will outsource stuff to a prompt writer. And what I tell people is that prompt writer has no idea what great is. Now, in this particular example with a spreadsheet, we can get closer because you can tell them, like, this is exactly what the output needs to be. So first and foremost is starting with the end. What do you want? What exactly do you want AI to do? So the first thing is you're telling AI who it is, what is it doing? The second is AI loves context. It wants to know, what is the situation? What is happening right now? Why are we doing this task? How often are we doing this task? Are there any constraints around this task? Is there anything I should be aware of? Is there anything emotionally I should know about this situation? We often have Google Brain where we give it very little data and information. AI loves context. So explaining the context, then clearly documenting the task. Now, this prompt, it is crystal clear. I am so clear on exactly what I'm wanting it to do. I am telling it to analyze this, do this, remove duplicates here, do this, add this line here, add this column, remove these 4 columns, keep this column, blah, blah, blah. Then we need to be very clear about the format. What is the deliverable? Is it a CSV? Is it an Excel document? Is it a text-based file? Is it an interactive file? Is it a dashboard? Is it HTML? What is it? Is it bullet points? Is it a table? Do we have an outline? Are there headers, subheaders, bullet points? What output do we want? And then a quality lens. So when we're getting more advanced prompting, I would want some sort of anchor, some sort of, hey, you are $1,000 an hour consultant that does Excel reformatting for a living. You do not make mistakes. If there's any reason why you didn't understand something, you would always ask a question. You would push back on areas you see blind spots. And then for this prompt, I did not have this, but if you are doing more of a one-off prompt, I would end it with please ask any clarifying questions so that every time AI has the ability to extract a little bit more out of you before it begins its task.
Now, this other thing you mentioned, using Zapier. So for those who don't know, in case you've never used Zapier before, it's basically just this platform that allows you to connect 2 or more different online apps together. So it's one thing to use only Gmail, or it's another thing to use only ChatGPT or only Google Sheets. But what if you can make those things work together in real time? So they just kind of fire behind the scenes and get work done. And I'm wondering, are there any examples of like specific Zaps that you recommend people set up? And like, what does it do for them? Like, what job does it accomplish?
Yeah, let's think of an example of a Zap. So let's say you want a purchase agreement to be fully created in PandaDoc when a box is checked in Follow-Up Boss, or the stage is changed to verbal offer accepted. You could have a prompt that reads all of the notes, every field in Follow-Up Boss, all of the call transcripts, and generates the draft of the purchase agreement without anyone having to do anything. Obviously, input is your output. If CRM's a mess and there's no data in there and no one's been taking notes and you haven't been tracking your call transcripts, it's going to be terrible. If you have been doing those things and in the transcript, you've grabbed the names of people and you've confirmed things, that PA should be 95% complete. It's different than just zapping over into the purchase agreement, because if you were just zapping over into the purchase agreement, you would literally be saying, put this field here, put this field here, put this field here. But with AI, it's looser. Take a look at every single piece of information here and put things where it needs to go based on what you believe would be the best for a purchase agreement. Here's an example of a purchase agreement. Here are some rules, go. So that's an example. We've talked about the example of every time a sales call ends, auto grab the transcript, run it through a prompt. Let's do, well, right now we have a Zap internally that anytime someone has a win in our Slack channel, they do #win. We have a Zap that grabs that win, goes through an AI prompt, and it pulls together like a little mini case study and it puts together kind of high level ROI, and it will message directly that user if we don't have enough information on ROI, a few follow-up questions, because one of our jobs is to generate a dashboard of how much ROI we've generated for our users over the last 12 months. Well, the only way we can do that is if we're constantly following up with our people. Well, technically you have that probably in your CRM right now. Seth, if they have a call with anyone, is there auto notes that are generated?
If you use the voice AI agent, yeah.
Okay, well, there you go. Automation that's already pre-built internally of the notes are already added. This is the next generation skill set of recognizing, when do I need just Zapier? When do I need just a simple automation? When do I need a prompt to be built? And when do I need an actual AI project to be built? And then when do I need an agent?
And literally any question I have about anything these days, I ask ChatGPT pretty much all of that. Even if there's like a person sitting right next to me who could answer it, like it's still easier and better in most cases to ask ChatGPT.
One thing I will say is you have to be careful because AI will over exaggerate what it can do. Have you ever done this where you're like building out a presentation or something and it's like, oh, I'll go ahead and build that for you in Canva. I just need 24 hours to build it. We get this all the time. You come back 24 hours later and it hasn't been built. It's where things are going. It says that, but it's not actually possible. So just be very careful when you're communicating with it. This is why I love Grok, actually. Grok is another large language model. It's a competitor to ChatGPT, Grok. Grok has real-time integrations with Reddit threads and X threads, Twitter threads. So when I am researching a solution or thinking about something, I will often use a prompt inside of Grok that goes out and looks at what other founders or businesses have built and that have talked about on Reddit or Twitter, because they talk about their AI solutions all the time, and bring me back something grounded in a real life example from Reddit or X.
That is awesome. That's a great idea.
I'm looking this up as you're talking. I've been taking notes even. I've been through Automate to Accelerate twice now, and I still constantly have takeaways. I think every time I am within Callan's peripheral anything, I'm like, oh yeah, that's good. I should write that down. Oh shoot, why aren't we doing that? I should know better, right? I want to add here too that there's just such a multiplier effect here of not only you as an individual and a founder being able to utilize and identify the use cases for AI in your business, but to have an AI empowered team just amplifies the whole thing. So it's so fun for me to hear too. And I know I've shared some version of this with you, Callan, but my executive assistant, Kaylee, she went through, I think it would have been your second, but like our first wave of Automate to Accelerate. In her past life, she was a teacher. She'll show her teacher friends like, hey, why are you building out that curriculum manually? Here, let me show you this. She's doing her own version of a magic show and just like blowing everybody's minds. I know Taylor on our team, one of my acquisition managers, showed it to her husband, Blake, in like one of the most regular use cases possible of just like using voice to text and then writing emails, you know, which is like super low use case, but this guy hates writing emails, you know? And so at some level, obviously those are smaller examples, Callan, but it illuminates the point of having the team that's AI empowered, because they've also created custom GPTs for us. They've also asked AI a bunch of questions before they've brought them to me as the founder, thus giving me time back. So there's like this big multiplier effect where they also see ways that we can solve problems for the business that I might not see, not being on the front lines the same as them. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's so true, Ash. I'm glad you brought this up, because what I'm finding is that an employee that is AI fluent, I call them a superhuman worker, because they are operating with 3 times the output than the average human being. I don't think keyboards are going to be a thing 5 years from now. They are too slow. I don't use my keyboard. You will not see me typing very often. I am talking because it's so much faster. Even the mental bandwidth of like having to think, it's just that flow state. And that's where I want people to understand. Even if you are like, I don't know how I'd use AI, your team, every time they use their keyboard, every time they're manually drafting a template from scratch, every time they're manually manipulating CSVs, every time they are manually reviewing a title report or reviewing an appraisal, like that is a waste of their time. You are wasting their time. You are wasting their soul's potential on this planet. That person can do so much more for you. They could use AI as their partner, and they could be uploading that appraisal into chat. They could be extracting a 1-page summary output for the team. They could be sending a couple bullet point summary in Slack instead of sending you, hey, the appraisal's done. No. You are not sending me the appraisal. You are sending me a summary of the appraisal. And if you don't know how to read the appraisal, you can call the engineer, record the conversation with the engineer of reviewing the appraisal, summarize that, and send that to me. Way better use of all of our times and brains. And I am in the business of saving mental bandwidth. Truly. Like, that really is why I'm obsessed with this.
I wonder, do you have any like aha moments that you've noticed from people who have been through your course about how to use AI effectively? Like, is there any like surprisingly creative use case that you've seen where, oh, I never thought of that. That's brilliant. Anything come to mind?
This one's kind of intense, but we've had a few people in our fall course that are dealing with parents that are having memory loss. And so what we have done is we've set them up with AI that's extracting stories out of their loved ones. So one particular, one of my clients, her dad is struggling with dementia. Every couple of days, she's asking him stories, recording all these transcripts of different stories, of learnings, of lessons. So she's asking him very specific questions. We're putting all of that on the back end of an AI and then training it on Mac's brain. And in real time, he's actually using these things. She's actually uploaded all of his neighbors, all of his friends, if anybody calls, all the phone numbers. So he can go in there and he can just put in like a neighbor's at the door. And it's like, hey, who the heck is Ken? He can just pull his phone up and say, who is Ken? And it will say, Ken is your neighbor across the street. He's lived there for 25 years. You guys used to do fly fishing trips together. And I think what's going to happen eventually is, if you can imagine, if he's wearing like Meta glasses and has his hearing aids in, he could just stop and be like, can you just give me 1 second? And it could just be constantly reminding him of conversations. It could help him with a word. You know, it's listening. It will give him that word.
That's amazing. That's a brilliant use case. We actually bought both of my parents this thing called Story of My Life, I think it's called, where it's basically just a book where they write down stories of their life. One of my parents has done some of it. The other one has done nothing. But like, holy cow, if I just like went over and talked to her about this stuff.
Pop granola up on your phone, go on a boating trip and just be like, hey, tell me about your mom. What was she like? What's your favorite memory with her? What's the lesson you learned from her? I just had a friend, her dad just passed, and she actually wrote a big blog on everything she did. And she actually used Notebook LM as her backend because she needed a more knowledge base. He's a writer. He had all of these transcripts from him teaching classes, and he had all these writings, and it's just this incredible database. In her blog, she wrote that she went in there and just asked for advice on how to deal with grief. And she's like, it is scary. It is scary how accurate this is and how he would say it just like that.
That's a pretty creative use case. Are there any like success stories that come to mind? Like, hey, I did this huge deal or saved all this time, or almost like a monetary numerical gain as a result of using the things that you talk about?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I would say one of my first clients ever is one of my best friends, Steph. So she started our program. She was doing probably like 800 or 900K in revenue. And she had one full-time employee and a virtual assistant. She now has the same employee who has dramatically increased their salary because of how valuable she is and how much output she's created. She has 3 employees and they're all AI trained, and she will do somewhere around 4 million in revenue this year. Not very many more humans, no VA anymore, just 3 people, 4 million in revenue. And I think I just want that to shine through for people. That really is what's happening. Miscellaneous examples, but one of our gals in our group, she's a time and productivity coach. She already only works 25 hours a week. She has compacted her schedule like a maniac. And after going through this course, she has saved herself, the founder, another 5 hours a week that she has completely taken off her plate, which is, you know, it's like, oh, 5 hours. But for her, it's like a crazy, because she's already a psycho about her time. They will absolutely be able to 3X their business without hiring one more person because of the AI systems they've added into the business. I think there's, of course, even if I think about this deal that I'm managing right now, if I wasn't using AI to manage this and do the research, I would absolutely have to be babysitting it for 6 hours a week. I spend 15 minutes a week in keeping this deal alive. sending a message here and there, but AI is doing the research for me. This is a deal we've had. We have 50 easements on the property. Long story. I was able to build a little AI that did research on the last 10 years of any deal where this exact situation has happened within a 100-mile radius of the site. And it pulled back 15 different examples of this happening, the exact legal case, the exact language, the attorney that did the deal, and the exact step-by-step instructions on how it was all resolved. I built the guide, sent it to our attorney. She was like, "Are you a real estate attorney?" And I'm like, "No, I just know how to use AI." Maybe that's even what we leave people thinking with, is like, this is giving you the ability to be a chameleon in anything you want to learn about. You want to learn about psycho-cybernetics and identity work? Go do it. You want to start looking at a Kabbalah and understanding the soul's journey? You can start learning about that immediately. You want to be an expert at how Jacksonville is growing and where the post offices are being added so that we understand where that's happening? At your fingertips. Cody Sanchez, one of my mentors, worked at Wall Street. She's worked for huge companies. She scaled a $48 million company in 3 years. She just fired every single one of her investment analysts, and she is in the business of buying businesses. She does M&A. She buys boring businesses and she flips them. $150K a year job. She has 0 of them. 0 investment analysts. It is all done by AI, specifically Perplexity Labs paid version, deep research. If you have not played with Perplexity deep research, it is stunning. What type of results as a real estate investor? If you are not using AI for market research, there's so much at our fingertips. We could be training AI all day, every day, just to be researching what's happening, the patterns, the sentiments. You know, back in the day, it was like, "Oh, I downloaded the U-Haul data." I'm like, nice. We have that times a million data markers at our fingertips to understand what is happening with human migration across this country right now.
I want to add something here too about, you're talking about how quickly you can sound like an expert in something, right? You use the example of like somebody asked you if you were an attorney and you said, "No, I'm AI empowered," right? I always like to bring this up when I do sales training with people, how so many people think you build rapport with like small talk. "Hey, Callan, how are you? Great weather we've been having," right? And I'm always like, that stuff does not build rapport. Everybody in the back of their head, when somebody calls them up out of the blue and starts with, "Hey, how are you? How's your day going?" "Okay, great weather we've been having." The whole time you're thinking, "Okay, guy, get to the point," right? And so it does not help with rapport. If anything, it just shortens the fuse. We're in like this post-trust era, because people got better at selling than they did at fulfilling the thing they were going to sell. So people are super skeptical of salespeople because of it. And so because of that, in an effective conversation, and I promise I'll make the point with AI here, is you actually build rapport in conversations through authority, through knowing what you actually talk about, right? The example I give in a lot of trainings is I'll like ask somebody what city they're in, and I'll have chat, "Hey, like, you are a local expert of Orange Beach, California. I've never been to Orange Beach," right? And I would say, "Tell me something that only a local person would know. Give me a couple of restaurants, a couple of landmarks, this, that, and the other." And then I just start asking questions about this place. And it always is like, "Oh, whoa, you like sound like you're from there." And it was to the point where I was on with a client of mine who's Jewish and asked him about like the 5 tribes versus like this other thing. And I was like, "I have no clue what this means." He's like, "Whoa, dude, you're in like deep Jewish lore right now for like New York City Jews." And it was fascinating. I was like, this is so cool. I would never know this, right? And then he was educating me on the culture of like people on the New Jersey side versus New York and these different things. But the point being, to your point, Callan, you can sound like an expert, which positions you as an authority figure, which inherently gives you rapport in any conversation when used effectively, is the overarching point I'm trying to make here with what you were sharing.
100%. So this will be a hot prompt tip. So you're in Hernando County and you want to do deep research on all real estate development that is happening in that market. I would literally go to Perplexity and I would say, "You are a world-class real estate development analyst. You understand every single development that's happening within 20 miles of Hernando County. Here's the situation. Make sure you're giving it context. I want the seller that I'm talking to feel like they know nothing about their market. They know nothing about what's happening. They know nothing about current economical trends. They know nothing about development. I want to come in and I actually want to use principles from the challenger sale, which is exactly what Ajay is talking about. And the principles from challenger sale is that I am a consultant and they are someone that I'm consulting. I am literally just coming in and help them solve their problem. Please go and do full research on everything happening and pull back 10 major pieces of information that would blow their mind and help me be perceived as a consultant, helping them decide whether or not they should sell their property in this area. Please ask any clarifying questions. There you go. And that's in Perplexity. I would do that in Perplexity because Perplexity is the best research. And I have a prompt building GPT, of course, and you could have it build out a map snapshot. You could say, cluster my overview by submarket with brief notes. You could say, I want an owner conversation kit, 12 sharp questions to ask the landowner, a 90-second position statement, and a concise follow-up email template. Amazing. And it has a whole research process on here. And this is where we can enter into a market. It has never been easier. I still would interview your real estate agent and interview the local engineer, take that transcript, bring that in here and say, here's some starting points on information I've gathered so far about the market, take it to the next level and build me a fully cited sub-market savvy guide that I could use internally to have these conversations with a seller.
So I've used ChatGPT deep research quite a bit. I haven't done Perplexity, which I don't know why. I totally should, but just that deep research feature, wherever it's at, it's incredible. The stuff it pulls back. It like tell you everything you ever needed to know and a lot that you didn't know you needed to know. It's an amazing thing. It makes me wonder though, because I know we've bounced around to different AI tools. Callan, if you were like barred from using any AI except for one thing, what is the one AI tool you would use?
Chat. It is the Swiss Army knife. It just sucks at content. It is so bad at content. And I write so much content. I use Claude exclusively for content writing. I would never write an email inside of Chat. It's so cold. Yeah, I'd probably flip over to Chat because organizing, structuring things, fine. Creating PDFs, Excel docs, but Claude is my second most used, and then Perplexity. The reason why I love Perplexity is because it is actively doing that live search. Chat won't automatically do live search. You have to prompt it to do it. And then Perplexity also always gives me the citations and links for every single thing versus Chat gives me a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, I have no idea where this came from.
Because I use custom GPTs quite a bit, depending on what I'm trying to do. In Claude, is that essentially what projects are? Like if there's some specific task you want it to do without having to explain it every time. Is that what we're talking about?
That's exactly right. So ChatGPT has custom GPTs. Perplexity has spaces. Claude has projects. Technically, ChatGPT has projects too. Custom GPTs and projects are very similar. Custom GPTs you can share outside your organization. So if you are making something public or you want to share it, like my meal planning GPT, I do share with my friends and family. And then Gemini is one we haven't talked about yet that has gems. Copilot, Microsoft, they're calling it agents, which is like, thank you so much, Copilot, for making it even more confusing because it's technically not an agent. It's just a project. But yeah, this hierarchy I would call is called AI projects. And then ChatGPT, Claude projects, Gemini gems, Perplexity spaces, etc.
The thing that I think will change the world in a huge way, if and when this comes out, you know how you can use like Gemini Studio or even like ChatGPT on your phone to like look at something, like look at your computer screen and tell you how to use software or something like that. So that's super helpful in and of itself, but I would love it if it could actually like circle on my screen, like here's the button, push this, and then go there. I thought I had heard that something on the Microsoft ecosystem can do this, but it's not on Macs.
I haven't heard of it yet, but we're really close. I mean, I can't imagine it couldn't do that so soon. I'm sure it's just another one or two chat updates. I know ChatGPT or OpenAI is trying to ship the GPT-6 update a lot faster than they were anticipating because GPT-5 was such a letdown. And who knows? I know the video tool has been really helpful. We actually had a new espresso maker and I wanted to do a deep clean on it. And so I just showed it the unit and I was like, walk me through this step by step. I have no idea how to do this. Or with some Zaps. Recently, my team, they'll show the screen of, okay, I'm in Zapier. How do I step by step set this up? And I think it's just so empowering. I think my team, they've never operated at this cadence too because they don't have to ask as many questions. They go in here and they're like, is it a path or should I do a filter? And it's like, oh, it's for sure a path. Okay, great. Awesome. Like that would have taken maybe, oh, I got to get with Carter, spend a half hour with him, got to find time on his schedule. I'm like, no. Faster. Move faster, everybody.
As we wrap this up, this has been awesome, Callan. Thanks so much for talking with us. I've learned a lot, and I know I will continue to, but just want to circle back on this automate to accelerate, and also sort of like the teaser, the 3 live session thing that you're going to be doing. Before Callan just quickly recaps what this is all about, I just want to let people know I'm doing something that I literally never do because I don't have time, but I'm making time for this because I'm fascinated by all this stuff. So REtipster does have an affiliate link to what Callan is talking about here. It's retipster.com/Callan, Callan. And if you sign up for this and decide to do this whole automate to accelerate live guided course with Callan, I'm going to be setting up some mastermind calls with me. So if you want to discuss this stuff in more detail directly with me on Zoom, all you have to do is sign up through our affiliate link. I'll reach out to you, let you know when and how this is happening. But I'm going to be there, and I'm really excited to do this. And I hope you are too. But Callan, just remind us, when is this happening? What is this?
Let's do the lay of the land. Full lay of the land. So we have a big 10-week AI course. The 10-week AI course is called Automate to Accelerate. That is starting on October 22nd. It is the AI architect training that is really for people that are ready to go to the next level. Like they want to be able to spot opportunities. I would love for you to know what Zapier is before coming into this course. If you've never heard of Zapier, if you've never built a form, if you've never been in ChatGPT, you may want to start with our foundations program to just get oriented. But AI architects are the founders that are like, I am not letting this pass me by. Now, to get everyone understanding what's in Automate to Accelerate, I do 3 90-minute sessions. It's called the Effortless Business Bootcamp. It is 3 90-minute sessions. It's the AI magic show for business owners. And at the end of every session, I want jaws on the floor. I want you to see the things that we've built and say, holy blank, I cannot believe this is possible. I cannot believe this is possible. So that is what I would love for you guys to come into. It's $47. It's 3 90-minute sessions with me and my team. I am not doing theoretical pie in the sky. This is live demos of real businesses using AI systems. It's hands-on showing you how I have done some of these things. That's what we're going to start with. So I'd love for you guys to come to that. And then once you're in that, at the end, I explain everything about Automate to Accelerate. But I believe that every person listening to this should come to the bootcamp. $47. That's like Dairy Queen for a family of 4. So don't at me with the price. We could be charging thousands of dollars for this. I want it to be so accessible. And I want you to see how we've been able to get our clients' businesses valued at 10x more than they were before by implementing these systems inside the business. And then you can decide if A2A is a good fit after that.
Amazing. Again, retipster.com/Callan. Also have a link to that in the show notes for this episode. retipster.com/236. Ajay, you have any closing thoughts before we wrap this up?
The only thing I can think of is just how grateful I am that Callan is in our little land real estate ecosystem here, because I really think she's one of those once in a generation type thought leaders. And the fact that she stumbled into our niche before she took off like a rocket ship just makes me so, so happy. So just gratitude and love for you, Callan. That's all I got.
Thank you, Ash. It's so fun being back here, you guys. When I shut my land business down, there was a lot of identity stuff. Like, I don't want to leave anyone behind. I feel like I'm letting people down. I have so many clients. And what I've learned is by me elevating and by me going and figuring all of this out and being able to come back, we've had hundreds of land investors come through this. And it's been so fun to see how their businesses have transformed and even how their lives have transformed, of just seeing other opportunities and ways for other people. I have land investors, they've spun up other businesses because now they have so much more time to even think about other opportunities in their lives. Yeah, it's been the ultimate blessing. So thank you guys for having me. Thanks for giving me some time. It's been awesome.
Thanks again, Callan. Thanks everybody for listening. And we will talk to you again in the next episode.